Hello everyone, very good morning. Thank you for joining so early in the morning, and we will continue where we left yesterday on our last session, and we will continue doing the same interview preparation sheet. And a few of you have shared your weak areas and how you can work on those areas. So I will reply you back personally on one-on-one chat, so don't worry about that. And we will start with the question number 7. The half part of this is done, like the best practices of test classes. And I am expecting somebody to add the answer here. Maybe create a document and then just paste the link here. Okay. And now I will ask this question to you. If there is any private class, how will you write the test class for it? Or let's say if there is a private method, how will you write test class for that method? Anybody wants to take that question? Come on, let's assume that this is an interview and you've got this question. Aditya, how will you answer it?
Not sure, Mohit.
At the rate of test is visible is equal to true. Some annotation we need to add.
Okay, any other way, guys?
I think so. First, if the method is private, and so that means that we cannot call it from outside. So what we can do, we can create another method which is public, okay, inside the same class. And this method will call that private method. Since it is inside the same class, so it can call the private method. Now using that, using our helper method, we can test the class, test the method, private method.
Okay, the best way to answer is that you will see you have written a private method, right? So in your actual Salesforce environment, why you have used this method? Okay, you must be calling this method from any other class, or you must be calling this class from any other class, right? In your real Salesforce environment, you must be doing that. So even to write the test classes, you can write the test class for your main class, and then make sure that your main class is calling your inner class
Private method.
or the
Private class.
Okay, so see, whenever you will have to write the test classes, always try to avoid explicitly calling that class and method, because what happens in Salesforce, see, if it is a test class for Lightning Web Component or something, obviously in a test class, you will not create a button and click on that button so that your method will be called, right? So in that case, you will explicitly be calling that class, right? But if that class is a part of trigger or something, then you need not to explicitly call that class. You instead provide an environment where this class will be called automatically when the trigger will run, right? So try to identify how you are using that particular class in your real environment, and try to mimic that environment instead of writing the test visible or see all data equals to true. Those will not fetch you maximum marks in this question. Okay, so to answer this question, you will say that instead of directly calling this, or instead of trying to use test is visible, you will try to see what is the real purpose of this private class. Okay, and how this class is getting called in the real environment. And you will try to mimic the same behavior in the test classes. So instead of writing the test class for that particular private class, you will try to write the test class for the main class, and then this private class will automatically be called. You will do it in such a way that this will be called automatically. So try to avoid test visible, because that is a kind of shortcut you can take, but that will not be really good, because see, the real purpose of test class is not to complete the 75% coverage. The real purpose of test class is to make sure that your functionality is intact. So let's say if the functionality is broken between how you call from your main class to your private class, but you are testing your main class separately and you are testing your private class separately by doing these shortcuts. And if that functionality is broken, you will never be able to test that functionality via the test classes. So sometimes it is very important that you not only care about the percentage of code coverage, but also about the functionality. The real reason behind writing the test class is to make sure that your functionality is intact. Okay, so try to stick to that as well. Okay, I hope you will be able to answer this question now. Okay. All right, next one is how to write a test class for the external callout. This is an old question. They used to ask this question a lot, but now I think most of the people are aware about it, that whenever we have a class which is doing the external callout, and if we have to write the test class for it, we will have to mock the response. Most people are aware about it, so we do not get this question a lot nowadays, but still you should be aware about how do we do that and how do we mock the response and everything. Okay, so I have given a link. This is the link of another site. Okay, so all credit goes to these sites and blogs, nothing to me. This I have attached on you so that you guys can go through the sample code and you can at least try to write it on your own to see how you can achieve the test coverage for a class which is doing call out. Okay, so let me also put it on chat so that you guys can write it on your own, but I have attached it on the document as well. Okay, let's just go through this very quickly. Okay, so what they have done is, this is your Apex class. Okay, and this Apex class is doing a call out to this endpoint, and this is the post call, and this is the body you are sending, and this is the response you are getting. This is your call out code. Okay, now you have to write the test class for it. Okay, so what you did is that you have first you have implemented this HTTP callout mock. Okay, and just a second. Okay, yeah. So what you have done, you have created a global class animal call mockout, which is implementing the standard HTTP callout mock, and in response, it returns the status code 200. In response, it returns this body. Okay, and in the header is this. So this is the response you will get if you do a test call out. Okay, so you will do a test call out. Okay, and then you will get the response in return. That response is similar to what you should get ideally from this third party. Okay, so that is what you need to do in order to be able to get the similar response which you were supposed to get from your third party system. So instead of doing that, instead of calling the actual third party system, you have created it on your own and set this statically, or you can say that physical or static response you have set here so that you can test it on your own. Go through this link, try to do it on your own org, and if you have any doubt, you can come back to me anytime to say, okay, sir, I'm not able to understand it. Can we do it in a single session, or can we do it practically in one of the sessions? And I'll be more than happy to do that. But make sure that you go through this and make sure that you are aware about how to explain this to interviewer. Okay, Salesforce also had a trailhead for this, so you can also go through that and use that. Okay. All right, then we have what are dynamic forms and what is the difference in dynamic forms and record type. I have recently created a short video as well on this, and I definitely want somebody to take this. Come on. Hi, Chris. Will you be able to take this? Anusha. Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, Chris. Tell me.
Basically, dynamic forms are used on the page layouts to customize the basically we can use some kind of validations, display the field based on the conditions and criteria, and even display the action items as well based on the criteria profiles.
Okay. Yes, dynamic forms allows you to provide the conditional visibility of fields and sections and everything. Basically, it will allow you to create the dynamic pages. Okay, the pages which varies, the visibility of field varies on profiles or on various factors, you can define that. Okay, but always remember, whenever you will get a question on dynamic form, they will always try to compare it with the record types and page layout. So we use record types and page layout to provide different page layouts to different profiles. So they will try to say it in a way that now why do we need page layout when we already have dynamic forms? Okay. Or can we replace dynamic forms with the can we replace page layouts and record types with the dynamic form? Okay. So they will try to confuse you with these kind of questions. What you need to do instead is you need to set it out very clearly. Okay, page layouts and record types allows you to display different pages itself based on the profile, whereas dynamic forms even can further help you with within the same page. If you have for few fields which you want to display only for system admin, and few fields which you want to display only to the sales manager, few fields you only want to display for let's say sales associate, then even within a single page layout, so even within that same page layout, you can have further bifurcation with the help of dynamic form. So the ground rules still remain same for the we can say for the initial bifurcation. You can go with the page layout and record type and define that, okay, for record type A, I'm going to have page layout A. For record type B, I'm going to have a page layout B. But then if you have further bifurcation about that, even within page layout A, I have certain fields which should be visible for this user, which should not be visible for this user. Or let's say I have certain fields on opportunity, which I only want to display when opportunity stage is not closed one. Okay, then I can further do that with the help of dynamic forms. Okay, so dynamic forms provides a lot of visibility when it comes to display which field and on what criteria. Okay, so these are very useful for features, but I do not see them getting replacing page layouts and record types anytime soon. Maybe if they make it in a way that they may replace it in the future, but then record types and record type comes with other thing as well, like pick list value set as well. So that is something which we still use record types for. So in terms of replacing, this is not going to have replacement anytime soon, but yes, this provides an enhancement on the page layout. Okay. So I have shared a link for the dynamic form tutorial. I think this is a blog of Salesforce Ben, so credit goes to him. And I want you guys to go through that. And there are so many other blogs available on this topic, but I definitely want people who have not tried it on their own org to try this first. This is a good feature. This makes admin's job very easy. Okay, and this is a good feature. So try to do it on your own, definitely. Okay. Do we have people who have not tried dynamic forms yet?
Yes, me.
Okay. Do definitely
Yes, sir.
try this. This is a good feature. Okay. And it is
Yeah, sure.
super easy. Super easy. Okay.
पहली बार सुने सर हम तो
ओके, ठीक है। तो आप इस लिंक पे क्लिक करना, आपको सारा कुछ मटेरियल मिल जाएगा, क्या है कैसे है।
Sure, sir.
देन आप अपनी ऑर्ग में इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना बहुत ही आसान है, कुछ नहीं करना, बस बटन क्लिक करना है और इनेबल हो जाएगा। देन आप अपने हिसाब से चेंज कर सकते हो क्राइटेरियाज। ठीक है।
ठीक है।
और नहीं होगा अगर तो आप मुझे बताना, देन आई विल टेक अ सेशन ऑन दिस। ठीक है। ठीक है। Okay, next question is how asynchronous Apex is helpful. What are all different asynchronous jobs and its differences? Okay, always remember, जब भी interview होगा, they will follow a pattern. Okay, once they are okay with this question, they will, okay, now this is the time to check your knowledge on asynchronous Apex. Okay. Okay, Mayuri is saying, can you please explain async triggers? I think I have taken a one session on this. This will be available on recordings. I will guide you on which exact recording you need to go through for this. Okay, but we have covered it asynchronous triggers when we covered the change data capture. So any sessions with title change data capture and platform event, go through that. You will get the discussion on asynchronous triggers. Okay, okay, Mayuri, perfect. Okay, now interviewer wanted to understand your knowledge on asynchronous Apex, and always remember there will be multiple questions from asynchronous Apex topic because there are multiple options available. Okay, this was just a theoretical question where they ask how asynchronous Apex is helpful and what are the different async jobs and its differences. Okay, what you want to understand from this, first definition of asynchronous Apex, and then what are the various asynchronous options we have. So I want this question to be taken by anybody want to volunteer? Saloni, you want to take this?
Should I?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yes.
Hello,
Okay.
sir. Hello.
One by one. Yes,
Actually,
sir. Okay, let Saloni take it, and then we
no,
will answer.
sir. I, last week I joined your session.
Sorry.
Last week I joined your session recording,
Okay, maybe this is
so
too
I'm not
much.
aware of this.
Okay, let's go ahead with somebody else. Yes, guys. They're not able to understand you, sir. Breathe. Go ahead, guys. Who was taking this earlier?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead, Chaitanya.
Yes. So for the Async Apex, it is used to overcome the governor limits mainly. Yes, it is used, and the options are available for the asynchronous Apex are future, batch Apex, queuable, and the schedulable. Sir, do we have to explain each of them in this
No.
particular question?
Not yet. See, here the main the first thing he want to understand is what is asynchronous Apex. Okay, and asynchronous Apex is basically a feature given by Salesforce, which gives us a flexibility to do something in its own thread, in its own transaction, whenever resources are available. That is the definition you will have to give. Okay, governor limit comes as a feature, the advantage. Governor limits are the advantage of asynchronous Apex, but that is not the definition of asynchronous Apex. Okay, so just one-liner definition of asynchronous Apex. Then why do we use asynchronous Apex is because it gives us a flexibility. Okay, we get extra governor limits, and we need not to wait for the transaction to be completed on the screen. Like no, nothing is waiting on that transaction to get completed, which is a feature, right? And then we have four different options available in it. Future method, queuable Apex, and schedulable Apex, and batch Apex. And each of these four options have its own use cases, their own advantages and disadvantages. You will rest here and then let him ask. There will definitely be follow-up questions. He will pick the topic he want to choose among these four things. Okay. Most of the time, interviewer either go to the future method or go to the batch Apex, because those are the topics they begin with. Most of the time we'll go to future method and we'll try to ask either about mixed DML error or why we cannot pass S object directly in a future method. These are the two questions which we get in the future method. Or can we call a future method from a future method? Or can we call a future from queuable from future? So he will pick either the future method or the batch Apex. That happens most of the time. Okay, but you have to be comfortable with all four. He may ask you to explain each one by one as well. That very rarely happens because most of the time we do not have enough time for you to go through all these things. Okay. So that is how it goes. And then there will be further questions There will be couple of cross questions as well. We will take them as they come, but you will explain the definition and then you will let him ask the follow-up questions, but be very comfortable with all the topics you have in these four main topics. Okay. So here what he asks is that what are all different async jobs and its differences. So he's asking about the differences in the question itself. Okay. So you can pick one and you can tell what it is and the difference with the other things. Okay. Or you can say the major use case why we use future method kind of. Okay. But there will be many cross questions and you'll have to be comfortable with it. We have covered future method and all the asynchronous epics in depth, in detail with all the questions in our sessions. Those who are not comfortable, those who are new should definitely go through the sessions available on asynchronous epics and go through all the questions. I did not find any questions which was not covered in our sessions in asynchronous topic. Okay. And when it comes to the question, can we call future from batch? Can we call batch from future? Can we do this from that? The only way and the best way to do that is by doing it practically in your org. Create a sample future method, create a sample queuable class, try to call it from one another. Try to see if you're able to do that or not. By that way, you will not only be able to understand is it possible or not, but you will also get to know what kind of errors you will be getting if you try to do something. Okay.
Sir, I have a related question, sir, which
Go
I
ahead.
get. Actually, sir, in many places I have seen that where our future methods get queued. Okay. So, but I have seen that it is not queued in Apex Flex queue. So I need clarity on this, like where are all the, if we talk about queuable, then I got the, I think, correct answer. It is monitored in Apex Flex queue, queuable. But I am batch also, it can be monitored in Apex Flex queue, but I am doubtful regarding future methods. So can you give some clarity?
Okay,
These
we have done this. We have done this when we were taking the sessions. We have done in-depth detailing on the flex queue and async apex jobs, which we get from the setup options. I want you to go through that video because then otherwise it will overtake what we are doing right here. The video which you will get these kind of detailing on is, I think, in the async apex videos only. You will get it. Don't worry. Okay.
okay, sir. Okay.
You were part of batch one or batch two?
Batch one, sir, recorded session I take.
Okay, you're part of batch one. I think maybe I'll
I have actually watched your session selectively. Like, okay, this thing.
that's okay.
That is why
But
I.
Async Apex, you should definitely watch again, and you will get these answers. Don't worry. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible. I'm able
Yeah.
to hear you.
Sir, I had a short question related to this one. You just said that there can be some cross question, like in future methods, there's one limitation that we cannot use non-primitive data types like S objects and this thing. So, shall we cover that question now, or actually, I have also not completed the recording video. So,
Yeah, nahi. See,
if you are
yes,
comfortable.
that is the limitation, and we have covered this in this session as well. The reason why we cannot pass the S object directly is because when they launched the future method, they were worried about, let's say you passed it to something else, and then by the time it actually gets executed, somebody might have changed it in the backend. So the state which you will get, which you pass in the future method, will have the older data versus something which got changed in the backend. So they were worried about the state or the data will also get stale. So that is why they did not allow it. But then people started using workarounds, like they started passing the set of IDs and then they were querying based on those IDs and all. So that is why when in future they launched, when later on when they launched the queuable epics, they allowed that thing to happen. Okay. But when they launched the future method, they were not aware about how this will span out. Okay, so future method came in the existence earlier than the queuable epics. That is why the same thing is allowed in the QML Apex, but not allowed in the future method. We have covered this in depth in our sessions, so don't worry about it. You will get the answers of this and other questions as well on it, but they will definitely be cross questions. Okay. And one of the cross questions on future method is this one, why we cannot pass the primitive. Other one is mixed DML error. So these two, 100% one or the other comes.
Certainly.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thanks.
Did you get the answers, Harpreet?
Yes, sir. Completely. Got
And
it.
also
Thanks.
go through the sessions. Not only this, but other questions will also, you will get the answers. Like,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
can we
Some
call
of the sessions are left. So
and all those as well. Okay.
yes, yes, sir. Thank you.
तुझा फोन चार्ज केला असता.
Okay. Let's go to the next one. What is mixed DML exception and how can we handle this? Okay, so mixed DML exception occurs when we try to perform the DML on setup and non-setup object in the same transaction, and how we can handle this. And
Jay,
what
good
I do-
morning. Salah.
Okay, let me just mute her. Sorry. Okay, so mixed DML errors comes in when we try to perform a DML on setup and non-setup object in the same transaction. Whenever you get this question, okay, try to make sure that you try to give an example. Okay, it should look like that you have faced this problem in your actual project and then you have resolved that problem. Okay, so you can say that, okay, you were kind of creating a component where you were deactivating a user and also changing the ownership of, so you've got a requirement, let's say, where before deactivating any user, you will have to change the ownership of all the opportunities and then deactivate the user. Okay, so now you have to perform one DML on opportunity, okay, which is changing the owner of opportunity, and in the same transaction you were trying to deactivate the user. So when you try to do something like this, which is DML on setup and non-setup object both, you may get the mixed DML error. Okay, so what we do to solve it is that we try to move one thing to future method. Okay, so we, let's say, deactivated the opportunity in the synchronous transaction, and then we called a future method which will later on deactivate the user. Okay, so by using future method, we can avoid the mixed DML error. They sometimes ask what is the setup object and non-setup object. So setup objects are our daily use objects like non-setup objects are our daily use objects like account, contacts, and opportunity, versus setup objects are the objects which are part of setup, like user, like group. So whenever you perform something on that, which can change the way data was visible to the users, then it can throw the mixed DML error if it is happening in the same transaction. So we use future method to avoid that. Now you will not get that much time in an interview to explain something. So you will have to be very precise. You will have to be very point to point. Plus, explain it with the help of example. Why we use examples to explain something? Because examples convey our things very quickly on a different level. If you try to explain it with the help of theory, that will still be effective, but when you explain with the help of example, you connect with the interviewer on a different level. He might have faced the same kind of situations in his project and he will be able to recall everything, and then it kind of further avoid the further cross questioning on certain topics when you explain with the help of example. So I always prefer to explain with the help of example, which makes our job easy. And guys, always remember, interviewer has to check so many things. Okay, so that is why sometimes even when you are not done answering a particular question, they'll stop you and they will move ahead, because what they wanted to understand, they will get to know. So if we take this question as an example, the moment I explain that, okay, I will use future method to avoid the mixed DML error because it will break the transaction, it will move things, he can stop me right here because he got the answer which he wanted from me, right? So he need not to further listen to me completely, or there will be a few interviewers who will be impatient. They will not let you complete the answer. Don't get offended by that. They have to check so many topics. They have to see so many things. Whatever they wanted to ask from that questions, I think they might already have got the idea about it. So that is why they are not lingering on that particular topic. They're moving ahead. So don't get offended by that. It will happen a lot in interviews and it is completely normal. Okay. Very rarely you will get a good interviewer who will be a good listener. Most of the interviewers are not very good listener. This is fact. This is a normal thing. Most of the interviewers are impatient interviewers. They will just rush through all the topics they need to ask, and then based on that they will provide you feedback. Very rarely, and most of the time in the managerial round, you will get the people who will be a good listener. They will listen to you properly. They will let you explain things. Okay. And that is why I always say that managerial rounds are very difficult for very technical people, because technical people always feel that they just need to tell it with the help of example. They need not to elaborate. But in the managerial round, you sometimes need to elaborate a lot and they will be listening to you very patiently. So you'll have to work a lot on your speaking skills and how you explain something in the managerial round. Technical round, you can manage on your own just with the help of technical knowledge. So a lot of technical people, I feel that they fail in the managerial round because they have wrong expectation in terms of how interviewer will take the interview. And what happens in reality is completely opposite. But don't worry, that will not happen with you. I will train you on that as well. Okay. Can we call a future method inside a future? What is the exception we get if we cannot call it? Okay, we have done this question practically. Okay, I want you to do that, but anybody want to take it right now?
Yeah, sir, I'll try.
Yep.
Like it's impossible to call any of the asynchronous apex inside the future methods. So be it a future method or any other queuable or any apex class, that is not possible. And sorry, I'm not clear about what exception we will get.
Yeah. Okay, you will get async exception to many future calls, something like that. Okay, so any exception on asynchronous Apex, you will get async exception. There are different types of exceptions. So let's say when we perform DML and there is any exception, that is DML exception. Okay, when we do SOQL query and if there is any exception, that will be query exception. Similarly, here you will get the async exception. Sometimes you do call out and you get error, that is call out exception. So various type of exceptions you get, and interviewer expect you to know what kind of exceptions you will get. So even if you're not able to tell the exact error or exact exception, you can still tell him that in the asynchronous Apex you will get async exception, which is at least better than not telling anything, right? But I highly recommend everybody to do this on your own and then see the exact error message you are getting. The expectation is not that you should know the exact error message, but what interviewer expect is that if you have done it so many times in your project, you must, I mean, see, so SOQL 101 is a kind of error we get a lot, right? So now our mind is very comfortable with that error because we have seen it so many times. So that is what they understand, that if you, let's say, have 3+ years of experience, you might have encountered this error multiple times and you should be comfortable with it. That's the only reason. They are not expecting you to mesmerize everything which comes across you. That is not the expectation. So don't go into that. Okay. All right. Next question. What makes LWC special rather than Aura? What he want to understand here is that difference between LWC and Aura, and why in this industry people feel that LWC is better than Aura, or why Salesforce feel that LWC is better than Aura. Okay, let me tell you a background story. So when people were so comfortable with the Aura component and LWC came, they were not very happy with it. Like most of the developers I was working with, they were so comfortable with the Aura that they used to say, like, what's the difference? UI is exactly same. And we just need to learn a new thing for the sake of performance and everything. But that also looks pretty similar. And even there are a lot of features which are not available in LWC. Then what is the rush to switch to LWC from Aura when Salesforce launched Aura a couple of years ago? We have spent so much time learning it, and now that we are comfortable with it, what the hell is this LWC? Okay, so that was the starting stage. Okay, uh, because people were very comfortable with the Aura and they knew that they can do something in Aura, and if they have to do something same thing from the LWC, they'll have to learn it. So people were not very comfortable. So in the interview, they used to ask this question a lot: why LWC? Or what are the difference between LWC and Aura? Why will you choose LWC over Aura? So anybody want to take this question? Just 3-4 pointers. I will add the complete list here, don't worry, but just 3-4 pointers. Let me.
Because the Aura component was lagging in the ECMA script, and the all other web technology was using the ECMA. So they switched to LWC. There were other
Yes.
reasons
One
also.
reason is that Salesforce wanted to catch up with the latest web standards. That is why they created LWC, which is based on the latest web standard, ECMAScript 6, and that is why they launched LWC, because Aura was based on a framework, and performance was also not very good. Page load time was also a lot. Even see, from a developer point of view, you can be very honest there. Okay, performance and everything is something which is obviously very important, but from a developer point of view, if you will be honest and tell him that what the exact reason why you feel LWC is better. um, when I started giving interviews back in 2019 based on LWC, I used to be very straightforward in these kind of questions, that I told him I need not to be. See, file structure is also very simple in the LWC. You just have one JS file, you just have one HTML, and you need not to have helper, and you need not to have a lot of other JS kind of files. Structure, even the JS structure is bit more straightforward. It is a class-like structure. Performance obviously is better, load time is less, and I find LWC easy. Like as a developer, I find writing Lightning Web Component very easy, whereas Aura was bit very confusing for me. So try to mix it with the actual, I mean, not the actual, obviously everything is actual difference, but what you feel the differences versus or and what are the, standard differences in terms of available on the Salesforce sites and everything. Try to mix it and try to make it a convincing answer. Okay, don't try to make it too bookish. That's what I want to convey. If you will try to make it too bookish and that is not looking like an original answer, that will also not be a very good thing. Interviewer will feel that you have too much bookish knowledge as well. So try to mix it with the bookish answer plus your experience as well on working with both LWC and now there will be a lot of people who might not have worked on Aura component at all, right? What will they say? So they can say that, okay, these couple of bookish answer they have, versus they can also say that in terms of performance and everything, they obviously cannot say 100% because they have not worked on Aura component, and there is no harm in saying that you have not worked on Aura component. There is no harm in saying that you have directly picked Lightning Web Component. That is absolutely fine. So never say that you have worked on Aura. If you have not worked on Aura, you can directly say that you have worked on Lightning Web Component from the very beginning. See, I have worked on Visualforce pages as well, but it's been more than 5 years I have created my last Visualforce page. So if I get anything on Visualforce pages, I straightforward tell him that, okay, it's been a while I have created my VF page. I am a bit rusty there. I might not be able to answer everything, but given a use case, I will be comfortable in creating the visual force pages. Okay, so don't worry. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Lifecycle hooks and examples. We have covered this in the sessions. Lifecycle hooks, all the methods, constructor, connected callback, render method, rendered callback, disconnect callback, error callback. With the example, when to use which one. We have done everything practically there. I just want you to go through the sessions we have had on the lightning lifecycle hooks and let me know if you have any doubt on that. I think most of the people, most of my students are aware about this. I don't think there'll be any question which you will not be able to answer this, but still those who are new, go through that session and let me know if you have any doubt. Types of communication in LWC, there is parent to child communication, there is child to parent communication. There are different ways to communicate from parent to child. There are different ways to communicate from child to parent. We have covered everything practically. We have covered everything with the help of example. So go through that. Let me know if you have any doubt in this. Okay, but these, see, in the LWC, now most of these questions are from the LWC. So you can even see the pattern that it was a LWC heavy interview, which has been trend from last couple of years. They want people who know LWC well. So you will have to take care of LWC. You will have to take care of writing trigger. These two are must to know things. And without these two must to know things, you will not be able to survive in the interview. Okay. So they will not take no for these two topics.
सर सिबलिंग्स के बीच में कम्युनिकेशन करने का क्या तरीका होगा कि चाइल्ड से पेरेंट को भेज दे फिर पेरेंट से चाइल्ड
चाइल्ड को पेरेंट को भेजो फिर पेरेंट से चाइल्ड को पास कर दो तो लेट्स से ए सी है ए टॉप पर है बी एंड सी सिबलिंग्स है बी से आपने सी को भेजा एंड देन सी बी सी से बी से आपने ए को भेजा और ए वापस से सी को भेज देगा ठीक है Syntax of parent to child and child to parent communication. We have done this, guys. Those who have not done this practically, do try this on your own. And this is available in both the batches, batch 1, batch 2. We have done this practically. You have to do it on your own by following the example of mine or by following any of the learning blogs available. There is so much material available on Lightning Web Component for free or for the minimal cost. And I definitely want those who have not worked on LWC in a real project in your company, try to do a complete course or something on LWC, not very costly. You can find good courses on Udemy. You can find good courses even on the YouTube playlist. Try to do it practically rather than theory because this is the stage. See, earlier when the LWC was new, people used to ask theoretical question. What are the decorators? Okay, but now nobody asks theoretical question. In fact, they have started hating the theoretical answers as well. Everybody want practical answers. Everybody want to hire a developer who has done these things practically. So even if not in a project, then at least in a learning course or in a blog, somewhere you will find the practical example of that. Try to do it practically. When you do something practically, your answers will have a different level of confidence. And I want that confidence to radiate in your interview. Okay. If you just know something theoretically, then you will always be uncomfortable. You will always be worried that there can be cross questions which I may not be able to answer. But if you have done something practically, you will have 100% surety that, okay, whatever may come in this particular section, I have already done it practically. I'll be able to answer it. So do it practically, then it will have a different level of confidence. Okay, next one is a good question. Why we can't make imperative Apex call inside constructor? Who want to take it?
Constructor is a method that will be called when a component has been initialized. So that means like the component just is not present in the DOM, is not inserted into the DOM, so we cannot make any
Yep.
DML on the DOM. So
Correct.
that's
Correct. Guys, so constructor is a lifecycle loop which gets called whenever page loads. Okay, so page has not even been rendered on it, and imperative apex call happens when you do something on your page and you want to call apex on that particular event, on that particular action. So they does not go together. That is why we cannot make imperative apex call inside the constructor. And when we covered the constructor in lifecycle loop, there were so many cross questions which we covered. I want you to do that because in constructor, we have had a session just for the constructor on the lifecycle loop because there are so many cross questions which comes from this topic. They ask, okay, why we cannot, can we do connected, can we call Apex within the constructor, or can we do a wire call within the constructor? If we can do, what is the way? If we cannot, what is the way? There'll be a lot of cross questions in it that comes under the life cycle hook, and there'll be cross questions. So go through that and let me know if you have any doubt on it. Limitations of LMS. I have to cover this like sorry. I have to write down this for you in a okay. Any limitations of LMS, guys, you have faced?
Sir, I think it restricts events to single page.
Yeah, that is correct. I will write down few more here. Okay, write down. Right now, I do not have a list of limitations of LMS. So I will write it down. I'll find it and then create a document for it. Okay. All right. And meanwhile, if you have any, you can also add. Okay. Did anybody try to go through this document and see if you have visibility or not?
Yes, sir, it is. But I was trying to, I don't know how to add document. You told me to add document. So
Okay.
I added a link here regarding best practices of writing test classes. But how to add documents, sir? You mean physical? What document you want me to
Okay.
add?
You create a document and let me just open.
Oh, link of the document I can add.
Yeah, just link of the document, nothing else. Like
Okay.
not the whole document. Just link the way you added this big powers link, right? The same way you can just write down the documents. So this is where I have added one document link. Same way you can do that, or even the link. See, I'm not saying that you cannot add link. If there is any blog which is helpful for you, just add the blog. I'm obviously not taking credit of anything done by the original author of that blog, so don't worry about it. And that is not our intention. Our intention is not to say that we have done everything. There are people who have already done so much for the whole community, and we are taking advantage of that. We just want to create an environment where we just go through everything. Okay, obviously credit goes to the original content creator and the original author of these blogs, and they will get the credit. So we are not going to steal anyone's credit. That's not what we do. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Ali is saying from where we can access the recording of your previous batches. Ali, you must have got the login credentials for your let me sync with you on this, okay? After this. Okay, let's move on to the next question. I have a LWC component which is supposed to get the list of contact for a given account record, but I couldn't see any response from the LWC component. What could be the possible reason? Okay, now what he's saying is that from LWC component, he is passing an account record and he's supposed to get the list of contact from Salesforce or maybe from Apex, but he's not getting any list. Okay, or he's not able to display anything. He's not able to see any response. What will be the possible reason? There can be multiple reasons. Okay. In order to understand this, we will have to debug it from the beginning. Okay. The first step is that we are passing account record to Apex. Okay. So whether we are able to pass this account record correctly or not, that will be the first thing we will be checking. Then if that record is going to Apex or not, if this is a valid record or not, and based on that record, if we are able to get the list of contact or not, we will debug it on Apex. And if Apex is able to pass that data to your LWC component or not. If Apex is passing that data to your LWC component, that means your backend is fine. Now, the response which you are getting in your JavaScript, maybe you are not using that properly, maybe you are not debugging it properly, maybe you are not rendering it properly. Just try to debug the whole response. Maybe you might not have created the proper property to hold that response, or you might have got the response in your JavaScript, but you are not rendering it properly on the UI. There can be multiple reasons. Okay. And the reason why he is asking such question is because he wants to understand your thought process behind how will you debug this kind of problem. Okay, so debugging will be a two-step process. You will be debugging front end as well as back end. First step is to identify whether the issue is in the front end or the back end, and based on the findings of that, we will further debug either the front end or the back end to get to know that where actually we are making the mistake. Okay, that's how we are going to solve this problem. Now, everybody will have a different approach to solve a problem, but keep it very short, keep it very simple, keep it a result-oriented approach. Why you are debugging Apex? Because you want to debug if the backend is fine or not. Okay, because otherwise, if you one step is to check the front end, other step is to go through and check the console, he will get confused that you do not have any clarity about it. Okay, your answer should have a clarity about the path you are going to take to solve a particular problem. Okay, that is why precise approach to solve the problem is very important. Okay. Perfect. Let's move on to the next question, which is on portal, we have LWC component which implements lightning record edit form. If user edits lead status field, then in SF side, the value should be updated with the same value and vice versa. How can we achieve this? Anybody want to take that? I want somebody to take this. Okay. What interviewer is saying that you are using lightning record edit form. Okay. And in the lightning record edit form, what happens is that you get the whole edit form and then you put the data and then you save it. And then that record goes to the backend and then it gets saved. What he's trying to say is there is a lead status field. Once you update that lead status should also get updated on the backend of the Salesforce, or in the backend, you should be able to update the lead status of Salesforce itself. Okay. But what happens in the record edit form is that you will get the whole form, you will make all the changes and then you will save it, then it goes to. So there will obviously be a lag and you will have to do that button click. Okay. But he wants you to, the moment you update the lead status, it should be updated in the backend. Okay, so what you can do instead is, you can create, instead of showing the lead status field, you can create a lightning input field, which will take the input from the input of lead status, and on change handler, you can write an on change handler on that field. And then on change of that, you can push the data to Salesforce and update the lead at the same time. You will not wait for record edit form to be saved and then do all the changes. So you, instead of showing the lightning, instead of showing the lead status field, you can show a lightning input field, and on edit handler, you can write it and send that data to Salesforce to do that. This is obviously a workaround because the question is also similar to that. So that is why we do that. Now, it will obviously come to us like why we are then using record edit form, why did not we go with the addition, just the custom form and everything. That are the questions for the that are the questions we can ask if it was a real requirement, but this is an interview question, so we will stop it right there. And if he has further questions, he will ask you, and if he not, he will obviously get to know that okay, you were able to answer it. But I want you all to take this question on your own and see if you get this question, what will be your response to it. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. We have less time. What are the steps we follow to make integration successful to an external system? Okay, this is a very wide question. This is probably a question which interviewer wanted to ask in last 10 minutes so that he will get an idea about how much you know about the integration. But because he does not have enough time, he cannot go through and ask 10 questions from integration. That is why he chose a simple question which will cover the whole integration concept. Okay. Had he started with this integration topic, he would have asked a different question. This is a kind of rush question where he want to get to know everything you know about integration, that too in the less amount of time. That is why this kind of question comes. Or sometimes people want to understand, do you understand the bird eye view of integration or the holistic view of integration? Like what are the things happens? What happens now? Many times freshers just work on a piece of integration, like their whole task is to just write the callout code, but they are not aware about the other things which are in picture. Okay, so sometimes they want to understand whether you know the complete idea about integration or just a piece of it. Okay, so in order to have a successful integration, there are so many things we need to consider. Okay, both the systems will have to be comfortable with both the systems, what kind of data they are expecting versus what kind of data we are sending in a real integration project. And if it is a big integration projects, trust me, even the data mapping discussion take months. The data mapping discussion itself take months to just discuss about what data we will be sending versus what data they will be sending, what data they will be expecting versus what data we will be expecting, what are the data values. So let's say there is a status pick list value field, we have different value, they have different value, how that data mapping will happen in between, will there be a middleware in between or not, how the authentication and authorization will happen, do they understand auth 2.0 or they just need name credential, or how we will be doing authentication and authorization, what data we need to send, how we need to send, whether it will be a one-way communication or two-way communication, how the error handling will be happen. So what happens if we pass the data but they are not able to receive it, or if their server is not responding versus when they send data and our server is not responding, how will be the error catching mechanism will work. So there are so many things which we have to consider in an integration project. I have written all these things in a successful integration template document, and let me show you what it is. So I have written almost everything which you need for a successful integration. Go through this and let me know if you have any doubt in this. Okay, but this is almost everything which we need in an integration. So go through this and let me know if you have any doubt in this. But people who have not worked in a real integration project need not to fake it here. Okay, you just need to explain what you know about the integration. See, if you will say that you have not worked in a real integration project, have practiced it only on your own with the help of free API or with the help of, let's say, Spoonacular API, which Salesforce has a template on or trailed on, or other free APIs, that is absolutely okay. it's not like, obviously, if you have more than 5 years of experience and if you say that you have not worked on integration, that will be a negative factor. But for the people who have less than 2 years of experience, 3 years of experience, they say they have not worked on integration in a real project, but then how you cover up, how much you are confident on it with the kind of POCs you have done on integration, with the kind of learning blocks you have done on the integration, will actually define that whether you're comfortable or not. So do not lie about it, to be very frank, because integration is a complex topic. The more you lie about it, the more he'll be able to understand you do not know this, and then the more difficult question he'll start asking. Okay. So go through that. Okay, now last question. I want to grant access to my records to my manager, but do not want that senior manager will have access to the record. How that can be done? Okay. So I want to share my records or a particular record with my manager, but don't want that to be shared with his manager. Okay. So what can be the solution? Anybody want to take that?
Yes, sir, I can. So maybe we can create a public group, and based on that, we can provide the sharing rule. Like particular public group, we can add that manager and can give the added access.
What about manual sharing?
Yeah, manual sharing is also the option. Like it depend on the records. Like if they are more than like 50 to 100 record, then we can go to the sharing setting. Otherwise, manual sharing we can do.
Yeah, that should be fine. So here, even we can ask further questions that, okay, how many records we talking about? And if he says that, no, there are more than 200 records or something, then you can say, okay, manually, if we do that for 200, it will be too much difficult and we might need to have a better solution. But otherwise, if these are less records, then I can go with the manual sharing or something else. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Sir, over here, it will be simple like sharing rule we will talk about. But I'm just thinking, shall we talk about this that check option of grant access using hierarchy? Since they do not want it to be shared with their senior
Yep.
manager, so should we
You should,
take that?
you should ask. You should ask.
Okay, okay. Because if it is not a custom, if it is not just like if it's a custom object, so we can also play with that checkbox, right?
Yep, 100%. You can ask this question, which object it is, and then the grant access using hierarchy checkbox. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
All right. So whatever questions we have discussed, if you can answer here, Deep, you can write down the answers or share the list or document here, just like you shared this link here. That will be helpful. We will go through these questions tomorrow. Which has anybody given interview for this company? Must be any batch one. Let's do that. These are normal questions. And see, the smaller companies like for the companies which we have single questions or 2-3 questions, we will cover in a single day. So I think these 3 companies we will cover in a single day. And then we will come to Deloitte. So we have got so many questions for Deloitte. Deloitte takes good interviews, so it will be a good opportunity for us to explore couple of tricky questions. Okay. All right, I think that should be all for today. Let me stop.